Small losses, big wins. How do we trade like this day in and day out? So we will go through yesterday's recap first because we didn't make a video yesterday. Go through the losing day yesterday and then how we can make back all those losses today and more to turn those losses into profits. So yesterday 9:32, just as market opens, we had a range to fill on QQQ. This was 487.75 to 488.79. That is this range here. Again, this is yesterday's chart. So what we were looking for is a move to fill all of price within that range. As you can see, we opened and just dropped and dropped and dropped. Now I didn't see the news that came out. I just did not even notice it, and that would have slightly changed the bias because again, obviously, then we wouldn't have hit it as heavy as we did yesterday. We just got in one contract because again, fundamentals are normally going to outrun the technicals, but we didn't see it, so we can adjust it. So we traded it as normal. And as well on the futures, we did have gaps. We had some downside gaps and we had some upside gaps. Now, one thing I am starting to notice more and more is when we do have these odd-sided gaps, meaning we have gaps from the same day but above and below, then trading to the range is actually a lot more difficult. So that's one thing to note going forward when we're providing these ranges. If we're seeing gaps on both the up and downside from current price, we may be a bit more hesitant to take a larger size. And if we all, like today, which we will go through in a sec, if your gaps are only in one direction, it creates the trade to be a lot cleaner. So anyway, we're looking at that, and how are we looking for entries? So the blind entries we get, and what I mean by blind entries is without confirmation. We were looking at our fibs, which were here and here. So long, obviously you can see all it did is sell off. Now that's the nice thing of options, is again, with options I don't tend to run so much stops. We tend to just get the slightly cheaper contracts and you just let them expire worthless if we are wrong. And that's why for all our trades, we look for at least 100% moves, because that's how much we are always normally going to be risking. So those were our 2 entry points, and then we get one more entry point once we start to get a bit more confirmation over on the indicator. So entry 1, entry 2, and then what you can start seeing is down here, you're creating lower lows, and you're creating divergences on both the MACD and the RSI. So to me, that was our third and final entry. So we were looking at those 3 entry. Our average was roughly then in that area here. Price goes on, and you can see we did actually end up coming into of kind of above our break-even point. However, this happened so much later in the day. This was around 2 p.m. market time. So again, the options lose all their time on the option, so it was still a losing day, even though we started to break above our average points. So overall, though, this was a losing day. That was the range we wanted to fill. We did not fill it, and so losing day. And yes, so we move on though to today, and today was a nice trading day. So we'll go over to what we were looking at, and again, we did put this in the Discord. We're going to be transparent. If we have a losing day, which we will, we're traders, we will post it in here. Again, we're not going to win 100% of the trading days. That is just impossible. So today though, October 2nd, range to fill on both QQQs and SPYs. What are these ranges? That value to that value, that value to that value. So if you want that on the charts, that was 568.34 to 566.50 on SPY, and 481.28 to 479 over on the QQQs. Again, we expect price to completely fill high to low on this range. So that's what we were looking at. Again, price push down. We were also then looking at the gaps, and this is what I meant by having the gaps in the same direction. Are really nice. So obviously we get the opening drive down, and then we have the upside gaps created on both ES and SPY, and our ranges at that time, because again, that's when we're down here, we have gap here, in the same direction as we are looking at on our ETFs for the range. So again, that created a much cleaner trader opportunity, and what you'll be able to see is as soon as we came into our fibs, so QQ did not really provide that entry unless you got in a bit early. SPY near enough to the penny, hit our 161 extension from that range, and then came in for that fill. Now that was 142% move on the options, and again, this is why you should always have kind of a set amount of risk that you're taking each day. For example, say you were risking $100 and you got into this trade, say with that same $100 of risk, then obviously you are going to be making all your back losses from yesterday plus an extra $42. Now sometimes we do average into trades, like you'll know we talked about 1, 2 and 3 entries yesterday. So normally we'll go for about 50% entry, 30% and 20%. So your main size should always normally be on the starter one, just because a lot of times you'll kind of get this pop again. Sometimes we rearrange these if we have things bringing us down. For example, if we have gaps down here, we expect price to continue, so then that first entry will be a bit smaller, and then we'll get some heavier sizes down here. But overall, what this does mean is even today we didn't get a massive return. So normally one of these trades we're looking normally for like closer to 300%. So even if you're only in with your starter size, so you're 50%, you would wipe out all of yesterday's losses and profit. In a case like today, it was only about 140% move. So if you're only in with 50% of your risk, so $50, it's 142%. You're going to be making, closer to around $70 today. So you wipe out most of yesterday's losses, but not all of it. Again, that happens just when you can't get complete size. Again, that's just one way to manage risk. People trade them in different ways. That's one way I like to personally manage the risk. But either or, good entry there. 142% return on the options to trade that move. Again, we bought them for roughly $64 down here. Sold them out, I think, at $155 a contract. So a very nice move on that. And again, that is basically the day trading recap for today. We had a range to fill. We opened within it. We sold off. Again, we still have then this part of data left to fill. And what happens, we then come in and fill that area. Now, one thing we talk about, again, we get these in the recap time and time again. Once this range is completely filled, normally you get some nice entries off the high and lows of these ranges that we provide. And that is a break out of it. And again, that I don't really consider a breakout because you don't really move away from it. But this one is definitely your move away from it. You have kind of a black chart in the background, no price action going on there. You come and retest this data. If you can hold, that's normally your run into new highs. Qs was definitely the cleaner move on this. Again, you get your breakaway, come back, retest it to the exact penny, and then fly higher. Where we likely to target today, you're going to target around this 484. That's that moving average, and then this is also a 6-month mean level, which is that white line. So kind of two key levels to kind of come into that area there. To expect QQQs to push up there. And if you're looking at SPY, expect a move over to the 570.45. But again, the way I traded today was a long on SPY here into that range fill to there. That trade is then done, and then I wasn't really trading this. I was looking at Qs because it was moving a bit cleaner. Long here, again, taking some profits near highs, so we take some profits there, and we'll run the rest of the position into that kind of 484 and see if we can get that complete move, and then we are completely done for the day once we get to that level. Anyway, that was yesterday's and today's trading recap, basically broken into one video. Let me know if you catch either of those trades or the overall main trades, or if you're catching any of these smaller trades like the bounces. Again, they take different risk parameters. This you can normally run a stop on. These I would definitely run stops. You're not going to risk 100% on the options on these, so again, less likely to work out, but you run stops. Or again, with these trades we don't normally run stops, but you're looking for bigger percentage moves. So again, depending on your risk parameters, maybe you only like one trade compared to the other, or maybe you like trading both like I do. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you next one, and that's it. Peace.